In episode number 241, we cover the Labyrinth spin-off film.
We also have the animated Watchmen adaptation. They are not done with the Watchmen universe.
We also have a review of C2E2 2017. Correction, Daniel has a review of C2E2 2017.
And our comic book highlight this week is the much-anticipated The Button Part 1, featured in Batman number 21.
All of this and much more on today's show. Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, conventions, and more. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
For those of you joining us for the very first time, welcome. The way we format the show is first we start out with some news, ranging from all those things I just mentioned, and we follow up with a comic book highlight of the week.
So last week, we actually had to take a break for episode number 240, and we had Matt Adner from the Super Side Up podcast guest spot for Kelly and for the week that I was actually out of town. So we recorded this one ahead of time. Huge thanks to Matt from the Super Side Up podcast. You've heard them from the past. If you're a longtime listener, you know about the Super Side Up podcast and how they are friends of the show. So definitely check out last week's episode if you haven't yet. If you're a new listener, that's number 240. But if you are a new brokehead that jumped in at 240, they're probably thinking, who the hell is this? I heard Daniel, but...
Who is this Kelly person?
You've been there since the beginning.
That is Emperor Palpakelli to you.
That's correct. Since episode number 001,
Ooh.
Emperor Palpakelli has been on the show and will be on the show this week.
On the show, in your life, I'm everywhere.
You are. So we hope you enjoyed that crossover episode with Super Side Up podcast. And don't forget, we also did another crossover on their end. So if you check out the Super Side Up podcast, episode 99, I believe, that is going to be the one where we discuss Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and a couple of the other TV shows, including iZombie as well. We reviewed that episode. So it was more like the Super Side Up podcast format on their end, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of it. If you enjoyed that episode, definitely let them know on Twitter at Super Side Up.
In addition to guest starring, though, you got to see Riggs this week.
Yeah, Mr. Riggs, he's been on the show 2 times. Last year we had him on for the Wizard World Chicago wrap-up. And then late last year, we also had him on for the interview, the Trivia Time with Mr. Riggs episode. That was the title of it. So if you search on YouTube, it should be popping up right there. But otherwise, I was trying to do another episode with Mr. Riggs, but I ended up catching a cold on the second day that I was up there.
The death flu.
It ended up staying with me all throughout, and also Clayton caught the same cold as well, so he was also sick. He wouldn't have been able to do the show, and we tried to get better. We had some green tea, we drank some water, we drank some OJ, just trying to kill this cold, and I know you're supposed to drink this stuff beforehand to not get sick, but we're like, you know what, green tea at least would help us. And it did not. We did not get better. It would not have made for good podcasting material.
So can we talk about what you ate, though? Pizza, Chipotle.
Yeah, I gained a good 5 pounds, I would say, while I was in Chicago. Chicago pizza twice in one day. We had Chicago burgers. We went downtown, had that. Beers. We had also taco. No, I'm sorry, not tacos. I had, they sold tacos at the place, but they also sold pizza. It was just like that Seinfeld episode with Babu, where they sold every international dish from every part of the world. And that's what it was. We went in there for the pizza, and then Clayton noticed, they have tacos here. So he's like, next time I'm going to have to get tacos and pizza or something, you know? So that, I mean, yeah, it was great food, but we were sick for sure.
But we drank green tea, so
yes, it made it all
so we should have gotten better.
It's not like I was drinking Pepsi just straight up. It had rum in it. It's fine.
It's good. It's like NyQuil. Same thing.
That's what actually we noticed when we went to the bars at night and we were coughing throughout the day. At night, we got some beers, we got some rum and cokes, and we're like, this actually does help our coughs, though, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, it doesn't help you get better.
So it's unfortunate that I couldn't have Riggs and Clayton back on the podcast, but it was still a lot of fun, and I didn't want to force a show with us coughing every other word, and I still have a residual cough, but I'm working through this, and I'm more or less on the good part of everything. So we needed to get the podcast out, and right now I am good enough, and I'm going to be here to provide you guys, along with Kelly, a better, longer episode since we were gone last week.
You got some of that cold medicine in that glass next to you, too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the baby update.
Oh, baby update. Baby is the size of an avocado.
My favorite fruit in the world.
This week, yes. Hopefully we can find out what it is soon. If it cooperates, it's your child, so it'll be stubborn. It'll probably be like, no, don't look at me. And I'll be like, move, baby.
Do we let Brokettes know right away if it's a boy or girl? Or do we just let them find out when we put up the picture? When it's born in October, November?
We could do a cute announcement.
Maybe. We'll gauge the interest. So It's up to you guys, really. If you all want to know what the baby is in 2 weeks, boy or girl, let us know on Twitter or Facebook. But if you don't let us know, I'm just going to assume you just want it to be a surprise for the very end. And I'm not going to put up this question on Twitter. I want it to be the listeners themselves coming straight to us and asking us if they want this or not.
And see, what we do if we wait till the end, we put the baby in a very gender-neutral outfit and just take a picture of it.
Yes. Black and white. It's like a Tim Burton baby.
Yeah.
Aside from that, anything else from the baby developing?
No, more food aversions, no food cravings yet, unless you count, what was I craving? A Subway sandwich the other day?
And Dr. Pepper.
And Dr. Pepper. I do crave Dr. Pepper.
Kelli's crazy cravings.
All spelled with K's.
Yeah, when I sent it to my buddy, that's how just to make him be like, huh? What?
What did you listen? But a lot of aversions, so I was a coffee addict. I think the Brokettes know this. I was a coffee addict. Woke up one morning after I had been pregnant for some time and could not stand the smell, taste, or sight of coffee. Hated it. So I worked around it by tricking our child and ordering frappuccinos instead. And our baby doesn't know that a frappuccino is really coffee. But as always, it's your child, and it caught on.
Of course it did. It's a smart fucking baby.
It is a smart baby. And now it's like, wait a second, frappuccino? That's coffee, Mom.
Man.
So now I can't drink frappuccinos either. So Dr. Pepper it is.
Trying to give me coffee.
I was, baby. It's for your mom's health.
You also tricked her with the rice and beans.
I did. So baby does not like beans. Baby doesn't like anything. Baby is picky ass.
It's being a fucking baby.
It's just being a baby. So baby likes rice though. So I ordered rice and beans, and I would just put like 2 spoons of beans and mix it with my rice and then eat it. And baby's like, oh, this is delicious rice, Mom. I'm like, I know, baby.
It is rice, of course.
Yeah, just rice. Can I say I'm real sad though? I was talking to somebody who said that they had their food aversions for 2 years after their child was born.
That's fucking crazy.
2 years. They couldn't eat eggs.
So the body just adjusted to the new diet and said, this is what we don't like now.
This is just what we do now. Right. So I'm worried that'll be me and coffee. Like, I won't drink coffee for the next few years, and I will be so sad because for me, it's a spiritual thing. It's not just for the taste. It's not just for...
It's a way of life.
It's not just for the caffeine effects. It's so that I just enjoy it. I sit out on the porch with my parents on a nice breezy morning, and I drink coffee, and it's a spiritual thing. Tea just isn't the same.
So there's your weekly update, Brokettes. The last 2 weeks' worth, it is now the size of an avocado. Mm-hmm. Maybe it would be born an avocado, like an avocado man. Just half avocado, half human.
No.
Like an axe cop?
Can we not? Somebody asked me the other day, they go, when do you find out what kind of baby it is? I said, well, I hope it's a human baby, but...
What kind of baby?
You never know. It could be a Super Saiyan baby or an avocado baby or a chicken baby. We saw that in a documentary once.
So with that, Brokettes, let's jump right into the news this week.
First off, some very, very, very good news for Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch has become the company's fastest-selling system ever. Of all times.
Nintendo's done, though. No, they're done. That's it.
They're done.
They're done for. After the Wii U, they better just wrap up.
Oh, I thought they were done like they dropped the mic and they're like, peace, we're done.
Well, every single Nintendo system, regardless of level of success, people do the doom and gloom for Nintendo. They better wrap up. They better stop. This is a failure. Sales are the factor.
They're just jelly. Those are like Xbox people going, oh, Nintendo's horrible.
Regardless of how you feel about the Switch, this bitch has sold 906,000 units in March alone. Just in March.
Wow. In addition to that, even better, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sold 1.3 million units in March, making it the fastest-selling launch title in the company's history.
So that's it for Wii Sports. That shit is gone.
Gone.
I'm sure it holds some record of total sales still, but Legend of Zelda and the Nintendo Switch have both been that golden combination for Nintendo this year. When did it come out? Last year, didn't it? Nintendo
Last year?
Switch? No, it came out this year.
It was this year,
Correct?
this March.
So 2017 is fucking brilliant, and they're just seeing dollar signs. Nintendo's all up on this, and there's not even there's no Pokemon games on the horizon either. They've got Zelda, and they've got Mario at the end of the year.
They can now make no money for the next 30 years and still stay in business.
That being said, we have not bought a Switch yet.
We have not. We're waiting for the Switch Slim, as we like to call it.
2.0, 1.5, Switch 2, Switch extra battery life, Switch better components placed on the system itself, Switch brighter screen, Switch faster processor, whatever they want to call it.
Switch more time available in our day to enjoy it.
Well, that's the other thing. I don't even know if we'll be able to buy the fucking thing and actually play it. So you won't hear a review on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast for quite some time, if ever at all. But good on Nintendo, right? So moving it along to some movie news not related to the comic book, DC, or Marvel side. Director Fede Alvarez, who did 2013's Evil Dead.
I didn't like that movie. No, it scared me. Was that the one with the little girl underneath the, like...
Yes.
No! I had nightmares for like a week. No, okay, I gotta tell the background of this movie, right? Because I do not like scary movies. Scary things scare me, obviously. In Jurassic Park 2, I was scared when the Triceratops burst through the tent. It got me every fucking time, and I saw that movie a million times. Okay, so... being my boyfriend at the time, you knew this about me, right? You knew I did not like scary things? I
guess I did, yeah.
I would hope you did. So then you say, Kelly, let's go see this movie. And I said, but Dan, isn't that a scary movie? And he said, no, it's more funny than anything else. You told me that movie was funny.
The original was, though.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Well, this one was not funny, and I'm sitting there, and there's a little head and eyeballs and, like, chainsaw arms and demon faces and blah, blah, blah. Oh, shit, man. And so then I had nightmares for 2 weeks, and you were just like, but it was funny.
So they picked the right person, right? Because this guy is going to be working on the spin-off film to 1986 Labyrinth film. And even Labyrinth had some portions of it that were kind of creepy, especially the puppetry.
Well, like a shit ton of it was creepy. Are you kidding me? That scared the Skeksis? Weren't the Skeksis in that one?
Which ones are the Skeksis? What do those look like?
The weird... No, that wasn't. What movie was that? The Dark Crystal. Do you remember the Dark Crystal?
I never saw the Dark Crystal.
Oh, shit. With the Skeksis, they're going to redo that one next, and you're going to be scared out of your pants.
Either way, though, Labyrinth had some weird elements, and the fact that they're doing a spin-off to it is probably the better choice than to actually go ahead and remake the film, because remaking it, you're not going to be able to replace David Bowie.
You could never replace David Bowie. He had the best song ever in all of film history.
And the Goblin King may or may not make a return in this. I'm thinking they won't show him.
Unless it's a younger Goblin King.
We have a quote here from Alvarez who said, quote, Labyrinth is one of the seminal movies from my childhood that made me fall in love with filmmaking. I couldn't be more thrilled to expand on Jim Henson's mesmerizing universe and take a new generation of moviegoers back into the Labyrinth, end quote.
That movie is all about discovering yourself sexually.
It actually is. It definitely is. That's what the whole thing of he represents the sexual allure of going into sex for the first time. He is the symbolic representation of sex to someone who is coming of age. So yes, it is a movie about David Bowie trying to bone a 16-year-old girl.
I mean, his bulge is big enough, so who wouldn't fall for that?
It was, and there's some camera angles where they just hold on it, and like the little troll is talking to him, and I'm like, is he gonna blow him too? I mean, this is crazy. And every Labyrinth cosplayer, every Goblin King cosplayer you see has the giant dramatic bulge as well they should.
Well, of course, because that's what this whole movie is about. Forget the rest of it. You're just here for David Bowie and his giant-ass bulge.
When was the first time you saw Labyrinth?
My best friend was obsessed with that. That and The Dark Crystal, which is why I always put the two of them together, because they're both Jim Henson movies. They're both puppetry.
Very similar looks to it.
Yeah, very, very similar. Very similar feels. They're both fucking terrifying. So I was in my early teens when I first saw this movie. And I was so weirded out. I'm like, what are we even watching?
So you're at the prime age for this movie. You're the target audience.
But I didn't put two and two together.
Okay. So you weren't looking, you didn't fall for David Bowie's Goblin King.
No, I was like, oh, that guy's kind of creepy going after this young girl. She just wants her brother back. Like, just give her a brother so we can all go home.
That'd be a boring movie, wouldn't it? So you don't fall in that category.
I mean, now I do. Now I'm like, oh, David Bowie.
Take me dancing.
I'll live in this bubble world forever.
Is this even a good idea? A spinoff to what is considered, for many, a childhood classic?
Now, let me ask you this. Are we going to go see it?
It's going to have to sell me on that first trailer. I don't know if we're going to go see it. I mean, you don't have the same puppetry from Jim Henson, which was a huge part of it. You don't have David Bowie. It's going to be tough to make this into a successful spin-off.
Listen, if there was ever a time in our lives to bring back the things that we knew as children and remake them or do spin-offs, now's the time.
I completely agree. I don't know if Labyrinth's the one to do it with.
I
don't know.
I still want to see it. There has to, as long as there's a character with a big bulge, I think we'll be okay.
Speaking of returns.
Yes.
Characters and people coming back. Your childhood returning.
My childhood.
Jeff Goldblum will reprise his role as Ian Malcolm in Jurassic World 2.
I was going to sing the Jurassic Park song, but I forgot it. Yes. I was thinking Indiana Jones. I don't know why I went there.
So Goldblum last portrayed Malcolm in 1997's The Lost World. For many, not a good Jurassic Park movie.
It was not. Was that the one with the Spinosaurus, the dinosaur they made up?
Yes, I believe that. No, that's the third one. And that's the one in which the original Doctor came back from the first Jurassic.
Yes. So he was in the second one. With the T-Rex, the baby T-Rex that they trapped.
That they were trying to heal or whatever, and they took it. The
fucking Triceratops that scared me every time he jumped through the tent. Oh, I hated that guy. And then they were in like the whole raptor thing. Oh shit, man.
And at one point at the very end, the T-Rex makes it into the city. Yeah. And it's kind of like Godzilla-ish.
Yeah, and it pushes over that giant ball in the gas station, the 86 or whatever, and it goes rolling. And I was like, oh. And then I remember I saw one of those gas stations once, and I'm like, oh, shit, T-Rex.
It's also the infamous scene. It also has the infamous scene in which Jeff Goldblum's daughter does gymnastics on the fucking, in the little shack and kicks the fucking raptor,
kills a raptor
into a spike. She pulls a Logan on the raptor. Like, she was the original old man Logan killer right there.
That young black girl was the original
old man Logan killer. Absolutely. That raptor got fucking kicked and fell into a spike and it fucking died. Awful scene.
It was terrible.
Terrible scene.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Ah, good times, my childhood. I'm so happy he's coming back. Jurassic Park just isn't the same without him.
It's always nice to see the original actors kind of come back after so long.
Well, and my thing, too, is why would the character come back? All this shit has happened so many times. What is this, the 6th movie? The 5th movie? And you know he's read the papers. He knows what shit goes down. And he's still like, doo-doo-doo, let's go back.
Goldblum finds a way. They're going to pay him. They'll probably kill him off in this movie, to be honest with you.
No, they can't kill him off.
You don't think they'll kill him off?
They didn't kill off that motherfucking T-Rex from the very first movie. Why are they going to kill off Goldblum? I will say that he'll probably get his leg crushed by something and he can be in the back of a Jeep again going, go faster, go faster, go faster.
Must go faster?
Yes.
With his shirt open?
Yeah.
All oiled up?
Even old man, he's got to have his shirt open. Leaning like, oh. Can he have those high-waisted jeans again, too?
Remember how terrible Jurassic World 1 looked when that first trailer came out? Mm-hmm. All the CGI looked incomplete and like some of the dinosaurs looked smaller than people expected. Then the second trailer came out that corrected a lot of those things and it was just about to come out. So people were like, this is going to be a fucking disaster. This thing is not done. It's not finished. People aren't going to go see it. It's Jurassic Park. Who cares about... And then it made all the fucking money in the world. I think it's in like the top 10 grossers of all time.
Shit.
It made so much goddamn money. That goes to show you, Brokettes, that the power of nostalgia will always outdo some internet negative buzz.
I thought it was a pretty decent movie.
It's decent for what it is. I mean, it's a Jurassic Park movie. He trains velociraptors.
No, I'm not talking about that part. That was weird. No, the part that made it all up is when the fucking T-Rex from the first movie comes out and he's fighting with the raptors and they're like, we're going to take down this motherfucker. I don't even remember who they were fighting. I didn't care. They were taking down that motherfucker and then the thing comes...
what's it called? Deus Ex Machina comes out of nowhere.
What? Oh, yes. Those things are called plesiosaurs, Dad?
If it was a plesiosaur, I would have known, because when I was a child, I used to be obsessed with the Loch Ness Monster.
Uh-huh.
This one was actually more crocodile-ish. Plesiosaur is more like the Loch Ness Monster, in which, you know, it had the long neck and the flippers.
Nerd. It was similar to a plesiosaur.
It was a water creature, sure.
Okay.
So if a giant...
That's a water dinosaur?
If a giant whale, like, crushed it, you would have been like, oh, plesiosaur, same close thing, you know.
Fucking
something.
whale lord was here.
A fucking submarine came out of the water and fucking blew it up. You'd be like, the plesiosaur thing. It came out of the water. It's fine.
I used to know the name of it. Actually, fun dino nerd story. I was in 6th grade once, and it was... that day when they all take you to the gym and some science man comes and like projects on the ceiling and shit. Did you have that?
I've seen that at Animal Kingdom here at Disney.
Oh, well,
where they show you like the history of the Earth and evolution. It
happened in my school. Except they didn't teach us about evolution. They teach us about how dinosaurs fit into the creation story.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Literally.
so anyway, my little brother was obsessed with dinosaurs at the time. So seeing as how he was my only friend, because we lived together, I had to spend fucking time with him, right? So I knew a lot about dinosaurs. And it's me, a little 6th grader. I think I was a 4th grader. I was really young. And then all these kids up to like 6th grade. And when you're in 4th grade, 6th graders seem like the shit. And then you get to 6th grade, you're like, I don't fucking know anything. What's going on? So we're sitting there and the dinosaur man shows, I used to call them ram heads because they
ram each other, yeah.
Yeah, but from Land Before Time, they were called ram heads, right? I used to know their real name. So he holds up the picture and he's like, does anybody know what this dinosaur is? And all like the older kids are like real quiet, like, oh, we don't know. And I'm like, oh, it's this motherfucker. And they're all like, whoa. And then I felt so cool. I'm like, they're going to think I'm big shit now. Of course they didn't. They didn't give a fuck about me, but...
Speaking of which, I went to the Field Museum where I saw dinosaur fossils as well this last week when I went up for C2E2. And they have actually started to implement the feathered dinosaurs into the exhibits. Because the whole time I'm waiting, I'm like, okay, I remember this one from when I was a kid. My mom was awesome. She took me to the museum several times to look at all these, to look at the shrunken heads even. And me as a kid, I wasn't traumatized. I'm like, oh, fucking shrunken heads and dinosaurs and evolution. And, I just thought the dinosaurs were the coolest, and the mummies. Those were the two things that I really liked.
Mummies scared the shit out of me.
Love the mummies. And that's because my mom explained to me how they preserve them. And as a kid, like, my little brain is getting all this information, so I remembered all of it. And the dinosaurs, I remembered all of the classic fossils, all of the older ones. There's Sue, of course, who was that was a later discovery. But I'm going through this, I'm like, oh, this is almost exactly as I remember it, which is a good and a bad thing, because I'm like, well, they're not really adding more to it. But then they showed the feathered dinosaurs. I'm like, holy fuck, there they are. And they have like the fossil replica of I think it's like the ichthyosaur with the feathered, like, fossilized things. I'm like, this is amazing. And they have like the artist renderings. They're like, and even T-Rex may have had feathers. And they've since discovered more fossils with like more like plumes on the T-Rex. So I'm still waiting for that Jurassic Park movie where they have the feathered dinosaur somewhere in there. I know it's not because of Dr.
Giro?
No, it wasn't Dr. Giro. He played the Doctor in Gotham. Is it Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's weird. Hugo Strange. It's Doctor Strange.
All right.
When Hugo was explaining in Jurassic World, you think people want to see real dinosaurs? No, that's not scary enough for you. Those real dinosaurs are much smaller. Like a raptor, that's way smaller than what we had. So we have to make DNA and combine it and make them scary because that's what people want to see. That's an attraction for people.
I'm glad they explained that, though.
I know. Like, that was a really clever way of just an angry Hugo Strange going like, you motherfuckers don't want to see feathered dinosaurs. But me, I'm like, actually, they look kind of scary. Like a giant fucking feathered dinosaur coming after you. Like, it even looks bigger than what they actually,
Giant-ass parakeet trying to bite off my head.
I mean, birds are fucking aggressive, man.
They are.
Like a rooster, try going up one-on-one against a fucking rooster.
There's one that hangs out outside my work and just picks burgers out of people's mouths. I'm not even kidding. It's one of those giant herrings, and naturally, it's protected by Florida wildlife, and we can't do anything with it. So we named him Kevin because he's real big, like the bird in Up. And he just sits there and he watches. And the other day I went out and I was like scaring him away, and he just looked at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm sitting here trying to get some food. But he'll go in and like fly at people, and then they run screaming, and then he just takes their burger and flies off.
They're badasses, man. Dino birds. They're
Dino birds.
They're awesome. Awesome creatures. So anyway, back to Jurassic World 2.
Sorry that Dan became a giant dino nerd.
I did. It is set to release on June 22nd, 2018.
Can't wait. Can he be the star of that movie? I want him to be the only one in that movie.
I hope so.
His journeys.
As bad as Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World was, he was not bad in it.
He's never bad in anything.
He was himself, and that's fine.
That's all we ask of him.
And we're about to have him in Guardians of the Galaxy next week. So, I mean, we're pretty much all set. We're not over Goldblum. We're getting
the golden years of Goldblum.
There you go. There you go.
Or Goldblum Prime. Could he be a Transformer, too?
He's filling our quota.
Optimus Prime is gone, right? Can we have Goldblum Prime? We are here to fight you and save the human race.
Move over, Megatron.
I want the little robot face to look like him with his little hair. What kind of car would he be? Can he be the Jeep from Jurassic Park?
There you go. He's the fucking Jeep from Jurassic Park. And he has another transformable. You know how some of them can fly as well? It would turn into the ship from Independence Day.
Yes, please somebody make this movie. I don't feel like he would be the Jeep. I feel like he'd be more like a bus.
Why? Well, there was also a bus in Independence Day.
Yeah, the bus in Independence Day, because I feel like it's economically smarter and more dependable. Like this fucking bus. Here, everybody pile on my bus. We're gonna go save the world. Oh my god, okay, I can't. We gotta move on.
Moving on to another superhero movie, although it has nothing to do with Marvel or DC.
M. Night Shyamalan has confirmed that his next film, Glass, will be a direct sequel to Split, with Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Anya Taylor-Joy returning to the Unbreakable universe. I didn't even know this was a superhero thing.
M. Night took the idea of the superhero and he applied it as more of a real-world setting. So even more real-world than The Dark Knight, where in this world some people are... I don't remember the beginning. I saw it when it came out. That's how long it's been since I've seen Unbreakable. And from what I remember, it's a genetic defect, kind of like the X-Men. But the two powered people that we see also happen to be opposites and working against one another. So Bruce Willis is, as the title implies, unbreakable. He's super strong. You can't pierce his skin. And then his villain is Mr. Glass. And that's played by Samuel L. Jackson, who actually was also born with a genetic difference, but he is extremely vulnerable to any hit. If you were to, bump him slightly, you'd break his arm or you'd break his legs, and that's why, he's Mr. Glass.
Why did we pick Samuel L. Jackson for this role?
I don't know. It was years ago, but he did a fine job. It was an okay movie. And now with Split, it's been a while and it's been months since this movie came out, but it takes place in the Unbreakable universe. So there's other people that also have these abilities. So the James McAvoy, for example, it's nonsense, but it's movie, it's fictional. He takes the idea of mind over matter and applies it into the movie. So he with his multiple personalities, he builds in his mind another personality that is essentially a monster that consumes people, a demon. It can climb on walls. It has incredible strength. And when his mind splits into the other personality, much like the idea of real people that have multiple personalities, that also become stronger in a sense. Like they think they're a bodybuilder and they can actually lift more than they should. It still hurts their bodies. That's the thing. But in this case, he makes this monster in his mind. At the end of the movie, you see that it follows the other personalities have followed the rituals to bring this monster, this demon out to life. And so he switches. He's able to switch to that other personality. And he's able to also climb on walls and run around at super speed. And, he eats humans. And it's like, okay, well, it's mind over matter, but you can't fucking climb walls and knock it off. Get down from there.
Spider-Man can climb walls.
And he's not Spider-Man.
Oh.
He is fucking Professor Xavier.
I think your child's about to be Spider-Man. Another spider tried to kill me this week. I'm sorry. I digress.
But that's basically the idea of Split. And it was fun. It was good. It had great acting. The idea itself is silly, but aside from that, everything else was really solid.
It's also M. Night Shyamalan.
And for M. Night Shyamalan, it was pretty good.
Was there a big twist?
There was. And I remember my coworker told me there's actually no twist in this. I'm like, there is a twist.
It's
and when I explained
to
him what the twist was, and he's like, well, I saw that coming from like the middle of the movie. So I'm like, but it's still a twist, no matter in spite of you claiming to have seen it or not. It's still a twist in the movie that was worked into the script because it's presented to the audience, and this is why the young girl doesn't get killed at the end. So either way, this sequel called Glass will release January 18th. 2019. So if you're tired of the superhero universe that universes that Marvel and DC are building, or you want something different, join the M. Night Shyamalan universe, which so far is pretty solid.
But if you're not tired of the superhero universe and you want to see more, you say, I need more superheroes in my life, which is exactly what I say on a daily basis, 20th Century Fox has scheduled 3 X-Men movies just for 2018.
They've come out with these 3 movies. They've confirmed what they are, and we have release dates as well. So we've got The New Mutants coming out April 13th, 2018.
We have Deadpool 2 coming out June 1st, 2018.
And finally, Dark Phoenix releasing on November 2nd next year.
We all knew Deadpool 2 was going to happen.
Of course, made them so much fucking money. And we also knew about The New Mutants because that's his first appearance was in the New Mutants comic book. So there's no way Deadpool is not in the new. This is like their Gotham City Sirens, where we're going to have Harley Quinn in that movie. So Deadpool's going to be, he's going to be in several movies, especially since What's-His-Face isn't really, he's not in a Hollywood blockbusters aside from Deadpool now. So yeah, he'll be in every fucking movie that they ask of him. Ryan Reynolds.
His contract is probably like, you're not going to be in anything but our movies.
And he's probably, please, thank you.
Money?
Can I say thank you now?
Money? Okay.
This is all I have. The Dark Phoenix one was the shocker in this because out of all the X-Men, I mean, we don't have Logan presumably anymore unless they recast him or they put more zeros in Hugh Jackman's check. But Dark Phoenix,
or like less zeros on his age.
Yeah, seriously. But Dark Phoenix may be able to. She has a compelling story, but it does involve the rest of the X-Men. So I'm curious as to how they're going to pull this off. And maybe this is actually X-Men, the next movie, and it's just the title is X-Men Dark Phoenix or Dark Phoenix an X-Men story, whatever it may be. But these are the 3 X-Men movies from Fox coming next year. No deal with Disney Marvel, so everyone, they make money. Whatever you may feel or whatever you think they should do does not matter because these movies are making money and they're going to keep making them, especially since everyone flocked to theaters to fucking see Deadpool. So if the X-Men universe is failing, throw Deadpool in there. Ooh, problem solved. Done. Deadpool featuring the X-Men. Keep your fucking rights, Fox. Like, just keep making them.
X-Men featuring Deadpool, and they'd be like, Deadpool's in this?
And they'd all go see it.
Yep.
They've got the golden goose now. Fucking ramp it up and put them everywhere.
And you know they're going to.
Keep the rights.
Flipping over to the DC side, something that I saw very unexpected, but now that I think about it, I guess it does make sense. Warner Brothers is developing an animated adaptation of Watchmen.
A couple of years ago, we had talked about, on the podcast, the Watchmen HBO television show that they were doing. We had said that the live-action adaptation might actually take more time in developing the universe and the story of Watchmen if it's in the HBO television format, like a television show. So in this case,
there would be a lot of nudity.
There would be tons of nudity.
Boobs.
There'd be, every fucking panel would probably show up in this show, and maybe there'd be some extra stuff that they'd throw in there, but nothing ended up coming out of that ever since they announced it. So we still like the Watchmen Snyder movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. Yep. I thought there were a lot of scenes that were pretty much identical to the panel. Of course, there were some things that they had to change, like the giant fucking squid. Spoilers.
A lot of people had still have an issue with that.
Really?
And the way to change it and changing it where it's Manhattan kind of made sense because the whole world, in the comic, I believe the giant squid has the traces of Manhattan's energy on it.
Right.
I believe that's what it was. And in this, they said remove the squid and just make it so that Manhattan actually detonated all of these fucking bombs throughout the world. So now the world says we have to go up against Dr. Manhattan, God himself. And we all must unite as a species because he is going to obliterate us all. We've seen his power. And it made sense for the movie. And it was like, nope, it's all ruined. We need the giant squid.
The whole thing is wrong.
Fucking Snyder. But now we're going to get the adaptation that you want to see the fucking giant squid. You're going to see it in animated format. And they will get your money one way or another. If it's not the live action movie, it's through this animated adaptation.
This home release would be a, quote, faithful adaptation to the Watchmen graphic novel executed in an animation style that mirrors the source material, end quote.
There's no release date for this animated adaptation. Still fucking sold. We better see some fucking blue dicks in this movie.
I want to see blue dicks all over the place.
Those were, faithful adaptation. We better see some blue dicks in this. It's gotta happen. We saw it in the fucking movie. That was a huge question for a lot of people when they were doing the Watchmen live action. They're like, are they going to put penises in this? Are we going to see Manhattan's penis?
Why?
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're not going to do it. And then they even gave you the fucking blue dick in the live action movie.
But no, there was no giant
squid, though. The squid is what I needed, dicks and squids. It's turning into a Japanese anime.
Japanese porno. Blue dicks and squids.
Can we retitle Watchmen? That's the title of this episode. Blue dicks and squids.
Our first time listeners are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Watchmen. Have you been listening?
They're going to see the title and be like, nope, not for me. Blue dicks and squids.
What do you think? Good idea? I know Alan Moore is probably not happy. He's never happy.
It's not my best work. Everybody forgets my best things. Yeah, it's going to make money. I would like to see it. It's essentially going to be frame by frame of what we've already seen, animated out. But like we mentioned earlier, if there's ever a time to capitalize on our nostalgia and our youth, right now is the time. Because we apparently have expendable income as seen by all the money that we're throwing everywhere.
The one thing that, and I know they don't coordinate together, more or less they try to see what's happening on the other side of the company, like the comic book side, the video side, and then the movie side. And then they'll try to build some material to coincide with it so that they can capitalize on the popularity of something. So for example, we have DC Comics, the comic book division, putting the Watchmen, so far, that seems to be the idea, in the main DC universe. So now we have, on the other side, on the video game side, Ed Boon going, do you guys want to see the Watchmen in Injustice 2? Boom, now you have the Watchmen showing up probably as DLC in the second video game. And then on the home video side, now you're capitalizing more on the Watchmen popularity or the resurgence by saying, here's a home video adaptation, animated. You better bring this shit out this year, I say.
They're going to have to. Now let me ask you about this video game. Can you play as a giant blue dick?
Just the Dr. Manhattan? No, they're not going to do that.
Shooting Dr. Manhattan lasers out of the...
He could turn into that, I'm sure.
He can turn into anything he wants.
One thing we were talking about at the comic shop is if Dr. Manhattan does in fact show up in the DC universe, he would have to be naked, right?
Well, yeah, they would like Alfred would be standing in front of him, or a bat computer,
or like a shadowed out portion.
Yeah.
But our concern was, we were more thinking like storytelling wise, because at the end of Watchmen, he didn't give a shit anymore, right? He did not care about humans' perceptions. He just kind of got more and more out of touch with humans and humanity. So that's when he stopped doing like the black underwear and he just went all naked. So if this follows that story and this takes place after Watchmen, then he would have to be nude in the DC universe. If they don't, to me, it wouldn't make sense, because why would he care what the DC characters?
They'll just hide it some ways. It'll be fine. But yeah, he's got to be like flapping all around.
So continuing on the Warner Brothers side, WB will be launching a DC-branded digital service in 2018 that will bring a new, and this is all exclusive, I've recently found out, a new live-action Titans series, but also the latest season to Young Justice on this platform.
I'm already sold. They already have my money. It's gone.
I think we may disagree on this one, but let's go ahead and read off the press release from Warner Brothers.
Quote, Titans follows a group of young, soon-to-be superheroes recruited from every corner of the DC universe. In this action-packed series, Dick Grayson emerges from the shadows to become the leader of a fearless band of new heroes, including Starfire, Raven, and many others. End quote.
Jeff Johns also recently confirmed Beast Boy as part of the roster.
This is a winning team. Why would you not jump all over that?
It sounds great. I think it's you have to do the Titans. Mm-hmm. People are going to see it. Mm-hmm. People are not going to buy into the exclusive digital platform, WB's Netflix service.
I bought into
just to watch Titans or the latest season of Young Justice.
Okay, and then they'll probably put The Flash on there. They'll probably put Supergirl on there.
It is in the same universe, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, Greg Berlanti's involved.
So why aren't we... You put those on there, I can catch up on all the shit that I missed. Done.
I'm talking more about the Young Justice fans. So those are people our age. Mm-hmm. Millennials. Mm-hmm. Are they going to pay to watch the latest season of Young Justice on this digital platform? No, they're going to fucking pirate it. They're not going to pay another bill to watch these things.
How critical you are of people our age.
I mean, this is why Marvel is not selling comics. This is why DCU did not work. And I'm not saying that we don't spend money. We don't spend it as much as people in their 40s, 50s, 60s.
They will buy it on Blu-ray, thank you.
I don't think they'll even buy it on Blu-ray. They're going to go on Twitter and they're going to whine to the DC or WB and say, put this on Netflix. They're already saying, I read it on the comments. So this is eventually coming to Netflix, right? They're just going to wait it out.
Okay, so they can wait and I will be watching going, cool, how awesome is this? Yeah.
Well, my whole thing is that if they don't buy into the service and watch it, then there will be no season 4 of Young Justice. I'm also blaming WB for this because it's not a good idea to do this. I think you put this on Netflix, as we have been saying, because most people our age have Netflix already, and they will watch Young Justice on Netflix. Okay. I'm not saying they won't eventually bring it on there, but if you want to sell Blu-rays, if you want to sell toys, if you want to sell whatever it is, then you put this maybe on Netflix or maybe on Hulu.
But it also depends on how much you're charging a month and what exactly are you putting on there. So let me ask you this. Let's say that they charge $10 a month.
Okay.
That's about comparable to Netflix, right? I think Netflix is like $7 just for streaming. It was last time I checked. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say they charge $10 a month. And you have your new Young Justice. You got your Teen Titans show. They'll put... Titans, not Teen Titans. Okay, Titans. You're going to put Flash on there. You're going to put fucking Supergirl on there.
Yep, Legends of Tomorrow,
let's
Arrow.
say you put Justice League Action on there. Mm-hmm. DC Superhero Girls.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and put Batman the Animated Series on there.
Yep.
Let's put Justice League Unlimited.
And Justice League and the first 2 episodes of Young Justice, or seasons.
Let's put Superman on there. Mm-hmm. How is that not worth $10 a month?
They haven't said that this is going to happen, but if they put the DC animated movies on there, I think that's going to be a bigger draw to the audience our age. Even though I love Batman the Animated Series and I would buy the service just for that, even though I already own the animated series, all the episodes on DVD, I would pay WB for the service if you have all of the DC animated movies on the service, along with Titans, along with Young Justice. Now, that's if they do that. I don't know if they will. Chances are they will. And maybe that'll get them to buy this. I still don't think that making this an exclusive was the right move for Warner Brothers. Just like the Cloak and Dagger show that Marvel made an exclusive to something else.
Don't judge them. You don't know them. You don't know what they're going to do.
I guess we'll see. I mean, maybe you're being an optimist, but let's hear what Brokeheads think.
Maybe you're being a pessimist. But if all those things are on there, I'm sold. I'm paying my $10 a month to watch all these things. And when our kid is old enough, I'm going to stick it in that little stroller and I'm going to be like, look, watch Batman. And I'll just be able to click. And there they all are instead of digging around for our DVDs. And what if they put it on there in HD high definition?
That'd be great.
And they did it on 180 millimeter camera. I don't even know. I don't remember what Tommy was so recorded on.
TNT previously passed on the Titans series last year, but the project has retained its writer. So that's a good sign, because something like Powerless, which ended up changing writers, is now canceled. And I'm not saying that if you change writers, it's an automatic cancellation, but at least we have the original vision still on board for this live-action Titans series.
We also have another press release talking about Young Justice. Quote, in Young Justice Outsiders, the teenage superheroes of the DC universe come of age in an animated world of superpowers, supervillains, and super secrets. In the highly anticipated new season, the team faces its greatest challenge yet as it takes on metahuman trafficking and the terrifying threat it creates for a society caught in the crossfire of a genetics arms race spanning the globe and the galaxy. End quote.
Sounds good. I'm in.
Excellent. There's got to be Starfire. There's got to be Nightwing. They got to be in love.
Coming of age, so they're going to be much older than we saw them in Young Justice Invasion.
We got to find out what happened to Wally.
That's something that people keep asking, like, Wally better come back. Oh, yeah, he'll come back.
Can I tell you, after Young Justice ended and Green Lantern, the animated series, there were all these comics of, like, Wally and Aya in heaven together. And I was
I've seen that.
Wally and Aya. And then what if they put Green Lantern, the animated series, on there too?
That's never going to happen. No one's asking for GLTAS Season 2.
Okay, if DC's putting everything up there, why not?
They're not going to. No one's asking.
I'm saying Season 1.
Fine.
Calm down with Space Zuko.
Again,
who they admitted was Space Zuko.
It'll be a show that people rediscover later on for sure.
And then ask for a Season 2.
Now what you do is you put Constantine Season 2 on there.
And then Kelli never leaves the TV and you have to raise their child by yourself.
So now let's head over to the live-action DC universe. At the red carpet premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy, Batgirl director Joseph Whedon gave The Hollywood Reporter his thoughts on what lured him into the project.
Quote, I wanted money and they told me I could.
Real quote here, and this is funny because he got criticized on Twitter, and this is why he left Twitter, over his mishandling of female characters, more in particular Age of Ultron with Black Widow, because I don't know if you remember, but she was talking to the Hulk at one point, and he's comparing himself to a monster, and she says, well, I can't give birth. I'm sterile, and then she says, so you're not the only monster, and then people were like, dude, you're literally calling people that can't have kids monsters.
Was that what she was saying? I thought it was just because she killed a bunch of people.
Could have been that, but people interpret, people.
Right.
Like they jumped all over them because
people.
Of that. So his quote here is, quote, she came up and I started getting obsessed with how a young woman could get hardcore enough to need to put on the cowl. Like, what's her damage? She didn't have her parents killed in an alley. Who is this person who decides, rather than being forced to by their childhood trauma, decides to pick up this life? How intense and driven that person is, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. End quote.
I don't believe him. I don't like him.
I really hope it's just decent. Come on, Joey. Just give us a decent superhero movie.
So now you're saying that she has to be damaged to be able to do good things?
What makes you think she's damaged? Like, yeah, people are gonna... I don't know if they did, but they're going to jump on him about this.
Of course.
Best of luck, Whedon. That's all I can say.
Right.
I'm still not thrilled. We're both pessimistic about this project.
Very pessimistic. But, maybe it'll be decent.
Hopefully it's better than the Avengers movies. Just hopefully. Don't put any teams in this. Don't put the Birds of Prey. Just do Batgirl.
And then when you're done with that project, move on to another. And
do something else.
Yeah, we'll get just one is enough. One is good. In fact, if you have something else to do, we'll find somebody else.
So, Kelli, I've got an adversary.
Adversary?
I do. Dolph Lundgren has been cast in the DC Extended Universe as King Nereus of Zebul in my movie next year, 2018's Aquaman.
Ugh, that nefarious King Zibble. What was his name?
King Nereus?
That nefarious Nereus.
There you go. The nefarious Nereus, Dolph Lundgren, Drago.
What?
He's the fighter. He's the Russian from Rocky IV.
I never saw Rocky IV.
He's the steroid-driven Russian. And then Rocky is the American that wears Apollo's patriotic shorts. And it's the U.S. versus Russia. natural progression and willpower and natural muscle versus science is what this is. It's like willpower versus science, because he is giving, treatments and drugs, and he's always training inside in machines, whereas Rocky's like up in the mountains lifting up logs and working in the cabin. And his name is Drago in this. So the whole joke when I made that Photoshop boxing picture, and that was inspired by, the idea was from Alex, who I work with. He's been on the show before too. On that same Riggs episode, he said make an old-time boxing poster featuring, the two fighters, because I was joking Drago versus Drogo, and of course Jason Momoa played Drogo on Game of Thrones. And
I thought you played Drogo.
No, I did not play Drogo. This was I'm not a big fan of Game of Thrones. I'm not. Okay, I saw the first season, and that was enough for me.
Too many boobs.
It just didn't catch me. Like, whenever I'm forced to watch something, like my buddy Clayton was telling me, like, you have to watch let's watch it. And we sat and saw the entire first season of Game of Thrones.
That's like 12 hours.
It was it was daytime, and then we finished and it was nighttime. So I'm out of, no more Thorns for me. No more games.
I forced you to watch The Nanny, and you like that.
Yeah, but we didn't sit and watch fucking 12 hours of it.
No, I couldn't. No.
So anyway, Dolph Lundgren will be playing King Nereus. He is described as a rival who claims Mera as his own and wants to kill Aquaman.
I have a problem with this. He's not even handsome. He's old and crusty.
Maybe some CGI.
No. Why couldn't we find some handsome man to swoop in there and maybe try to sweep Mera off her feet? Maybe she wants to leave with him instead of Aquaman. And then the audience can be like, no, you have to stay with Aquaman. And then some people were like, yeah, the nefarious Neferlius, or whatever his name is. He's real handsome. Go with him.
Nefarious Nereus.
What the fuck ever.
The Nefarious Nereus first appeared in Aquaman number 19 from the New 52 run, so a character written by Jeff Johns.
Lundgren is no stranger to superhero films. He starred as the Punisher in 1989 and recently played Konstantin Kovar in the CW's Arrow. But he's crusty and old. Give us a handsome Nefarious Nereus.
Aquaman is set to release next year on December 21st. Can't fucking wait.
Listen, ain't nobody gonna feel bad for that man because she could have you or she could have crusty old man.
The one thing I've been seeing, and the director already debunked this, is why are we putting so many villains in the Aquaman movie? So we've got the Nefarious Nereus, we've also got Black Manta, and of course, Ocean Master. And the director already said, well, Nereus isn't exactly a villain. So stay tuned on that. He may even team up with Aquaman to help stop Black Manta or Ocean Master.
Again, why we need somebody handsome so that he can be like best friends with Aquaman, and then Mera can be like, oh,
but then people are going to ship them.
Yeah, that's the point.
No, this is not going to be the main villain. To anyone saying like, oh, is this another villain in the movie? No, he's going to pop up in maybe 10 minutes of the movie. The main supposed villain is going to be Ocean Master. And then we'll either have a flip by the end of it for it being Black Manta, or Black Manta will be the stinger for the Aquaman sequel.
Here's what's going to happen. He's going to pop in, hey Mera, I want your bod. And then Mera's going to go, no way, Nefarious, whatever. You're old and crusty. And he's like, fine, I'm going to go fight with Aquaman. And then they're going to go fight and save things.
So what?
Why can't he
sold?
He needs to
Doesn't matter.
Needs to be handsome. I'm fighting this. I'm going to start protests on Twitter. Make Nefarious Nereus handsome. And it's not going to happen, and I'm going to be disappointed. I don't know, maybe,
it might be. Again, CGI.
I mean, Wolverine's a handsome old man, so...
That's true.
Maybe. No, but have you seen his face? Oy. You've let me down, DC.
Head on over to Marvel Rebirth.
DC Rebirth?
No, Marvel Rebirth.
But stop. They're just taking their names now?
Well, check it out. Yeah, let's go ahead and read this.
After years of various #1 issues, Marvel will be reviving its original numbering system.
So who else did this recently?
Oh, I don't know. DC?
DC with DC Rebirth. We saw this with Detective Comics and Action Comics. And previously also, to give Marvel credit, they've done it with Venom number 150. And in the past, they've done it 2 or 3 times. Because when I go through the back issues, I have that fucking moment where I'm going to Fantastic Four and it's like, wait a minute, fuck, Fantastic Four number 1? Okay, well, we were just in the 400s, but let's keep going. Okay, now we're back to the 500s because they decided to go back to the this is not a new thing in comics. It's happened in the past. We've done it several times. It's fine. But this is still Dan DiDio calling it once again by saying, count the days until Marvel does their own rebirth. And so far, the steps are being put in there to do it. And again, I'm not criticizing them. We're just having a bit of fun because they need to do something to get their sales back up. And if it's to recognize the older characters again with Marvel Generations, with an original numbering system, fine. Just fucking do it. Get your sales back up. Get the readers happy again. Let's call it a day. Do something. Fire the right people. That's all you gotta do. Fire the right people. Move up the right. I'll fucking become a Marvel worker, and you'll see me promoting the shit out of Marvel left and right if they gave me a paycheck. But yes, I will let you know what to do in this universe.
Why are you always pitching at Marvel to give you a paycheck? Start pitching to DC.
Because they have... Who has more money? DC or Warner Brothers? Or, I'm sorry, Disney or Warner Brothers?
Well, I mean, Disney.
Yeah, I'm fucking going for the money.
Not what you love.
Look, money talks.
Here's the thing. Here, let's talk again. So who has more money? Warner Brothers or Disney?
Disney.
So who is not worried about our little podcast and the things that we say on it?
Look, we've got ideas, Disney. We've got ideas that these guys don't have right now. Let's get you right back on track. Let's get you right. And you're losing artists to DC left and right, too. We have friends. We've got Dustin Nguyen. We've got Jimmy Palmiotti.
I want both of them to stay on Batman and Harley Quinn.
Dustin Nguyen's not working on no Batman.
But he will again in my heart.
Hopefully.
I feel it.
Hopefully
I feel it right here in my heart.
No, it's fine, Marvel. Do your thing. We're buying DC anyway. It doesn't matter. we're not affected by this.
Marvel.
We're buying Silver Surfer, Spider-Man, the Miles Morales one, Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, and I believe that is it. I think we're buying 3 Marvel books. Oh, I'm sorry, Hulk. Hulk's the other one.
Oh, She-Hulk. I mean, Hulk, but
yeah
She-Hulk.
It's She-Hulk.
Yeah, that's it. And then how many DCs do we buy? All of them.
Almost all of them, although we've dropped some. You know, we're fair. We're tough but fair.
We're tough but poor.
And biased.
And poor.
You know, it's fine. It's a good move. Go back to your original numbering system. As long as this is still a move to bring back the older characters, because that is what people want. If you want to keep the new characters, give them their own separate title. If they sell, fine. Then let the market speak. But if they don't, give them the axe.
And with that, we will tie up our news from the week. Whole lot of movie news, whole lot of comic book company news, some good stuff. Some Jeff Goldblum. That's all we needed.
And blue dicks.
And blue dicks.
So now we have our Patreon shout-outs of the week.
This week goes out to Brian, whose Twitter handle is @BrianSchaup1, and Christian, whose Twitter handle is @Rocketman_131.
Christian is our latest backer right here on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. Thank you so much, Christian. Also an avid listener of several podcasts. And Mr. Brian recently got him the American Gods #1 C2E2 variant. Hope you enjoy, Brian, and thank you so much for the support. And to all of our backers on Patreon, thank you for being a backer on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast.
If you, too, would like your weekly shout-out, your monthly shout-out, you can head on over to patreon.com/TheReasonsImBroke. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show and get your shout-out.
If you feel that you are getting $1 worth of entertainment every single month, head on over to the Patreon page and throw $1 our way. All of it goes straight back into the show as we try to reach the next goal for the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. And we also want to thank DecalAvenue.com for the help at the $5 reward tier. They provide us with the decals that go out to the various brokeheads out there. So definitely check them out on Twitter, on Facebook, and of course on DecalAvenue.com.
But of course, guys, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do for us is reach out to us on Twitter, let your friends know about us, and leave us a review on iTunes. That is the best way to help other people find us.
I also want to ask the listeners out there, you've seen TheReasonsImBroke.com. You've gone over to our store page. If you click on merch, it will take you straight into our t-shirts. You can pick one up there. But I do want to ask our listeners, if we started carrying tote bags on the store, would you be interested in one of those? The idea I got from this was when we went up to Chicago last week, there is now a tax, and this is happening in California too, but I actually saw it firsthand in Chicago. There's a 7-cent bag tax. So if you want a bag for whatever it is you buy in Chicago, you have to pay the 7 cents. So I was like, holy fuck, man, everyone must have tote bags. And we're going to get into that soon, where more and more states are going to be charging a tax for plastic bags. And I'm assuming that's mainly an attempt to bring down they mask it, I'm sure, in like an environmental thing, but more people are going to be carrying tote bags. So if you... if you are interested in carrying tote bags, if you're already a tote bag user, you want to be better about recycling, let us know on Twitter @ReasonsImBroke, Facebook.com/TheReasonsImBroke, and we'll see if there is an interest on carrying tote bags. There's a minimum 100 bag order is the thing. So I want to make sure that there's actually people out there that do want these bags. They'd be in purple with the white or yellow logo for the podcast, and it'll have a bit of information in case someone asks about the show while you're out and about. So it'd be a good way to promote the podcast. It'd be a good way to help us out, but also a way for you to carry your groceries and by supporting your favorite show at the same time and saving on that tax if you live in Chicago or California. Oof. So let us know once again on Facebook or on Twitter.
So I know you all have been dying to hear Daniel's C2E2 recap. I'm dying to hear it too, because he speaks to me while I'm falling asleep, typically. But before we do that, we do have a hashtag game of the week.
So to any new listeners, I put out a hashtag game on Facebook and on Twitter, and then I invite all of the Brokettes to join in. And if you do, I may read your response right here on the podcast. So this week's my response to this hashtag, which the hashtag was modern day curses, my tweet was, may you forget to buy bags and boards next time you visit your local comic book shop.
Oh no.
Don't you remember how frustrated we used to get? Like, fuck bags and boards. We forgot the fucking bags and boards.
You.
I remember you used to get frustrated too, because, we both try to remember about the bags and boards.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It's a modern day curse.
Okay. All right. We do also have one from @SuperSideUp, who says, may you always arrive to a movie after the previews with only the far side seats in the front row free.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I would hate that. That is definitely a modern day curse. Awful. All right, Kelly, let's hear it then. What is your modern day curse?
May you always be out of toilet paper every time you go to the bathroom. In a public restroom.
Ah, that sucks.
Yes!
I'm not sure that's even just modern, though. Just at any point, that would fucking be terrible.
No, because, back in the day, they just peed in pots and wiped with leaves or something.
That's fucking disgusting.
Their hands. It was... toilet paper hadn't been invented yet.
Let's do another hashtag game here. We've got another one. I don't know if you can come up with one in time, but hashtag rejected movie duos. My response was Woody Harrelson and Buzz Aldrin.
Okay.
That's very unlikely. I mean, come on.
Yes. Matt from Super Side Up also had one who said Batman and Tim Robbins.
From The Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Mystic River.
I don't know that I have one. This is tough. I'm not good at these movie things. I'm at a loss. You're blank.
Okay, so...
I mean, I could do Batman and Baskin Robbins. But I feel like I'd enjoy that movie. Like Lego Batman and Baskin Robbins?
That would be the licensing deal of the fucking year. I mean, Man of Steel already had them crashing through fucking IHOP and shit right in front of a giant Sears sign. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. Batman and Baskin Robbins. All right, so C2E2.
Yes.
Went up to Chicago to what is now pushing as being my favorite convention of all time. We love MegaCon. We've talked about MegaCon, and we are going to MegaCon next month.
Yes!
But C2E2 is 100% about comics. And that is something that has been complimented to the showrunners, is that this is not like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con, in which it is mainly a media convention where you go there to watch the latest Marvel trailer, to meet your TV show actors, or to play the latest video games. C2E2 keeps the focus on the comic books. Mm-hmm. The Artist Alley went A through Z on the rows, and then it went twice as long as you would see at MegaCon. This was a massive Artist Alley. It was a massive section for booths. Dark Horse Comics had its own massive booths with its C2E2 variants. The Grim Fairy Tale Zenoscope had its own booth as well with some C2E2 variants. It was such an excellent fucking show. We only went on Friday, but we saw every part of it without actually going into the autograph sections, because we didn't get anyone autographed as far as media guests, but we saw that section. We saw the cosplay section. The McCormick place, that's where they handle it, was perfect for it. It wasn't overcrowded. We got in so fucking quick. Everyone got tote bags if they wanted. And then once we were in, I mean, it was just like an overload of sensation. I mean, cosplayers everywhere, booths all over the place, well organized. You had food in several different sections of the convention. This was definitely the best laid out convention I have ever attended.
That's amazing. I don't know what more you want me to say. That's so cool.
Well, who did I see? I mean, you're not curious at all as to how I met who I met there?
Oh, I only cared about one person, and I heard all about it, and my heart was aflutter.
The listeners haven't heard about it, though.
Who did you see?
I saw Dustin Nguyen.
No, that's not his name.
Dustin Nguyen.
Thank you.
I saw Art Baltazar.
Cool.
And I saw Mirka Andolfo as well.
Yes.
Those are and Philip Moy was another commission that I got set up. I also saw Peter J. Tomasi. I saw Pat Gleason. I saw the team behind Wicked and the Divine. There's also Jeff Lemire was on there. The list was so fucking crazy as far as Artist Alley that these were big names, and you could walk right up for the most part. And Scotty Young was even there, although his line was ridiculous.
Always is.
And he was barely at his booth. But it was just such a crazy fucking list of artists, A-star artists, that you normally go to any other con, and it's more local than anything, but this is them getting huge names into it. Greg Capullo was even there, although he was in a completely different section. He was away from the riffraff that was Artist Alley. Yes. He's a superstar, he can do that. Neil Adams had his own fucking massive booth, just like at MegaCon last year. But going from, let's talk about Dustin Nguyen first, because that was the one you wanted to see and you wanted to hear about. His line was at the time, because we went on Friday and I wanted to take care of it. And I wanted to make sure I got my Super Sons #1 Dustin Nguyen variant signed by him. I was about the third person out from him. And granted, I was wearing the purple, The Reasons I'm Broke t-shirt, which matches our logo. But he picks me out, and this is the first time I'm meeting him. And he goes, "Hey, I know you." And I'm like, "Shit, man, this is awesome." And Riggs is like, "What?" He pays attention. And he sees that he recognizes me. And, excuse me. I get up there, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you finally, and good to meet you. Where's Kelli?" He asked where Kelli was.
He knows my name.
Yeah, he asked about you and where you were, and I got my book signed, and I asked to buy one of his art books. They were $25. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let me buy an art book." And he had told me on Twitter, he's not doing any commissions on these because he's so behind on his work anyway. But what he did is he brought original art pieces to sell at the convention. And he did tell me like, "Hey, you know what? Remind me when you get to the convention and I'll do like a very quick head sketch for you." And I did, I'm like, "Hey, are you still doing the head sketch?" And he's like, yeah. So I gave him the Harley's, it was the San Diego Comic-Con one, I believe, in which she's holding up the various paintings of Harley Quinn, but then you can get a sketch in the middle one. So I gave him that one, and he did a quick little Harley Quinn in Sharpie, and it was incredible. And, I gifted him a Pokemon card exclusive promo because I know his kid is into Pokemon cards. His son loves Pokemon. So I'm like, "Hey, give this to him." And he's like, "Oh man, I'm going to be his hero. Thank you so much." Then we stood and chatted for a bit. We got a picture as well. And I let him know that we're going to poorly Photoshop you into the picture. Yes. That way you're like a part of it too. He got a good laugh out of that. And I felt bad because we were holding up the line because, we were chatting and talking. And it was just an amazing experience. Dustin Nguyen's an awesome guy. He's doing Descender right now for Image Comics. He's doing the variants to Super Sons. And definitely check out his work. His work is beautiful. It's gorgeous. His art book is amazing. And his books always look great. He did Batman Low Gotham a couple of years back.
Love that.
He's doing the Superhero Club for Scholastic. And all of that is beautiful, beautiful work. And on top of that, he's such a nice guy. So, Dustin Nguyen, beautiful experience. And thank you so much. Hopefully you get to meet him one day.
Someday. Dustin, just come to Florida. Just
Please.
Come on, Dustin.
Come down to Florida.
Just come visit.
Art Baltazar was another one who I got to meet him, and he's like, "Hey, the reasons I'm broke. I retweet you guys all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, shit, man." And Riggs is like, everyone recognizes you. And I'm like, "Well, the t-shirt, but yeah, it's kind of cool." And he did, I brought up a blank cover sketch. He was doing sketches for $1. And I'm like, that's fucking underpaid. So, I gave him more than that. And he's like, "Oh man, I gotta make this one of the good ones now." That's the only reason I mentioned it. I thought that was hilarious. So he drew me a Sinestro with Arkillo and Dexstar, all on the Green Lantern Star Trek cover. And I'm going to put that up on Twitter and Facebook eventually. It is a beautiful cover. I got to thank Franco as well, both of them for their work on Superpowers, on Tiny Titans, Superman Family Adventures, and their podcast as well, the All Yeah podcast. That's one that I'm a listener of. So they thought that was really cool. They're like, oh, it's good to see listeners as well and the readers and all of that. So great guys, Franco and our Baltazar. I didn't see John Suntris, who I definitely wanted to see. He does the Word Balloon. He also does the All Yeah podcast, but he was busy doing interviews with other comic book guests. And Riggs ended up buying one of their comics as well from the All Yeah booth. So he had a good time. He loves buying indie books and indie works. And finally, Philip Moy, he did the Roxy Rocket Commission at Wizard World Chicago last year. And this year I had him do another one. And he saw it. He's like, oh, yeah, man, I remember that. And this year he's going to do a Talia based on her appearance in the Demon's Head from Batman the Animated Series.
Nah.
I know you're not happy about that one, but you're not a fan of Talia.
No.
He called Talia sultry, so I don't know what I'm going to get out of that.
You can ask me and Dustin. Catwoman is the only one for Batman.
I should have asked him.
And he would tell you what I already told you, so that's fine.
Mirka Andolfo, she previously worked on the DC Comics Bombshells. And I had her set on my pre-commission list. You know, you pay half then, and then you pay half when the work is finished. So I had her do a Poison Ivy traditional style, and it is fucking gorgeous. It came out so amazing. That'll be one we'll eventually put it up on Facebook and on Twitter, Instagram. But it is such a gorgeous piece that it's all well worth the money. She did an amazing job, and she only comes to the U.S. She's only here twice this year, and it was for C2E2 and New York Comic Con. So that was just great that I was able to catch her on that end. Jenny Friesen was another one who was at the convention. She wasn't doing commissions, though. And it was just, I spent most of my time at Artist Alley, and Riggs did too, because he always likes to buy the indie books. So he bought a shit ton of indie books at Artist Alley from local creators. He finds that he likes those stories better. But at the same time, he also bought some DC and Marvel trade paperbacks based on my recommendation. He's like, hey, so, whatever you recommend, I'll get it. And there was a booth that had them at like 50% off, like older trades, but still good ones. Spider-Man Blue was in there. And I'm like, yeah, dude, if you want a Spider-Man, Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy love story, here you go. Spider-Man Blue, check this out. And yeah, he fucking bought that and bought like 5 other trades. So he spent quite a bit at the con. And it was such an amazing experience. I'm glad I got to get a lot of the books that certain brokettes had requested, and glad I was able to help them out too. So if you are able to make it to C2E2 at any point, it is it's quickly becoming, one of my favorite, maybe my top convention, depending on how MegaCon goes this year. It is right now right up there with the best MegaCon I ever experienced.
Wow.
So we'll see if MegaCon 2017, as Fan Expo continues to own them, and they continue to do these every year and improve upon the Orlando market. Let's see what 2017 brings for the year. So that was my C2E2 convention experience.
You know what would make MegaCon better for you?
If Dustin Nguyen was there?
Well, that would just make it perfect for everyone.
What would it be?
If you cosplayed as Vegeta.
You really want me to be Vegeta?
Yes! And then I can be Bulma, and then we can have baby Trunks. It's everything I've ever wanted in my life.
There was one webcomic I saw of a cosplayer who's like, spend 7 hours on the shoulder pad, spend 3 hours building this helmet, spend 2 weeks making the perfect sword. All right, I'm ready for the convention. They're at the convention with their bags, and someone's like, can I get a picture? All right, I guess.
Pretty much, that's how it is. You just get exhausted. But see, Vegeta's easy. You just put on a big old wig, right? And then you wear a pink shirt and some yellow pants.
Maybe I'll do it. I'd have to shave the beard, which I don't know if I'm ready to do.
I'm talking next year. I'm not talking this year.
Okay, yeah.
You got a whole
when we have the baby.
Yeah, because then you have to have Vegeta, Bulma, and baby Trunks.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm okay with that.
Adorable.
We'll see. Maybe you'll forget by then.
Yeah, maybe my pregnancy brain will kick in. Yeah, you never know.
So you should attend C2E2 one of these years.
One of these years I will make it up there. It just wasn't in the cards for me this year. Life and pregnancy and...
Nostalgia Critic was another one who was up there.
Oh, was he really? Oh, he lives up there though, doesn't he? Yeah. No, your child does not let me stray far from the house because it only enjoys Cinnamon Toast Crunch and some watermelon. And I'm not sure how other foods, how he would appreciate those things.
Maybe a she. We don't know yet.
Maybe a she. I'm holding hope that it's a boy.
What do your womanly intuitions tell you?
My woman instincts tell me it's a boy.
Okay. We'll see if you're right in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you're the queen of Called It.
Oh, my God. I would be. I'd have to be the queen of Called It forever. You could never tell me that I was wrong about anything again.
Don't forget, we also, a quick shout out to Neil, NMAT68 on Twitter. We got to meet him while he was down in Florida for one of the Disney races.
The Dark Side Challenge, it's the Star Wars one.
Star Wars race, and we were luckily able to meet with him while he was in Florida, get some beers and catch up and actually meet one of our listeners.
I sniffed some beers, and I was a beer snob. So.
Yeah, you were.
But yeah, it was really great, Neil. Thank you for coming out and taking the time to hang out with us for a few hours.
And good job on the race, because that is not something I will ever be able to do.
Yes, you will. Wine and Dine 2018.
Not able to. I'm too old. I've told you both already.
Brokettes, if you want Daniel to run in Wine and Dine 2018, the half marathon, 13.1 miles, please let us know on Twitter, @ReasonsImBroke, @Kelli. Just type Wine and Dine yes.
So on to our comic book highlight for the week.
Now let me ask you this. Hold on. We're going back. What if people sponsored you to run the 13.1? What if people paid you to run this race?
Oh man, I don't know.
What if Marvel is like, we will write you a check every week to promote our stuff if you run this race?
It's the joke's on me because I'd be dead. Like I would die, but I would never finish that race.
You would too. You can walk most of it. You'd be fine.
The bus would catch me. That's what would happen.
No, I would push you.
And then they'd be mad and they'd be like, you didn't really run it, so we're not going to pay you.
Your wife would not let the bus catch you.
On to the comic book highlight of the week for real this time.
Now you can move on. This week's comic book highlight is Batman number 21, which is The Button Part 1. It's written by Tom King with art by Jason Fabok, and the colorist is Brad Anderson.
The book that is going to give us the very first hints of the Watchmen in the DC universe. Mm-hmm. The book that is also available in 3D for an extra $1, $3.99. Of course, that's the one we ended up getting.
Of course.
The title that was sold out at every comic shop except one when I was up in Chicago because my ass couldn't wait until I got back in town to read Batman number 21.
This is accurate.
So we now own 2 copies of Batman 21 because I'm not going to stiff the comic shop either. So now it is, I read it while I was up there. I read it in the car and Briggs was like, you read it that fast. This book is mainly images. Mm-hmm. It's very symbolic of the hockey fight and Batman. And of course, spoiler warning if you haven't read Batman number 21, but in case, you do tune out after this, Flash 21 comes out next week. By the time you listen to this, it will have been out actually. It's out this week. So Batman 2022 will be the next part of the Button, but this is the one that kicks it off. This is the Button Part 1.
Can I tell you, every time you say the Button, I think of Pussycat Dolls song Buttons.
I have never heard that one.
Oh my God, you haven't? We're listening to that after this show.
What'd you think of the very first taste? Some people are saying that there wasn't enough in this first issue. The first taste of what happens with Batman investigating the comedian's bloody button.
I enjoyed it. Like you said, it was a very quick read. It was mostly pictures. I think it gave me a lot of questions that I'm hoping that they're going to answer, but it kept me entertained. We get to see a touching moment with Bruce and his father. Mm-hmm.
Thomas Wayne.
Yep. You get to see... I like the way they had it laid out, where it was counting down all the seconds, and I was like, oh no, and I was getting anxious, and I'm like, hurry up, Flash.
Save Batman.
And then you have an image of foreshadowing what you think is Dr. Manhattan, but we don't really know, but maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
It's really bizarre, because the way they kept it so hidden, like they make it a spoiler, the Reverse Flash looks to be killed by the end of this issue. This is the death of Reverse Flash. It is Batman number 21. And when he returns after touching the button, after being teleported, he just says, I saw God. I saw God. And half of him is missing, just like Manhattan, I guess, sort of kills people. And there's like a blue flash as well. So it almost seems like they're trying really hard and going, this is Dr. Manhattan killing the Reverse Flash are messing with the DC universe. And now I'm thinking, like, maybe it's not Manhattan. Like, maybe it's too obvious that Manhattan is actually the one who killed the Reverse Flash. I'm not seeing that. So I'm starting to have doubts as to whether or not Manhattan is as involved as people think, if even the Watchmen are as involved as people think. So I'm not too sure. This could be a bit of a red herring, and if it is, there better be a bigger payoff at the end of the day, because if you reject us, the Watchmen in the DC universe, people are going to be pretty upset.
Instead of a red herring, I hope it's a blue penis.
So you think it's actually going to be Manhattan messing with the DC universe?
I really hope so. I don't know why they would do all this build-up and be like, haha, JK, you just found a random-ass bloody button.
From the beginning, though, they did say that Manhattan will not be a villain or the villain in this series.
I don't see him as a villain. Even killing Reverse Flash, I don't see him as a villain. I think I see him more as someone who's trying to right the wrongs that happened.
Right.
So he's going back in time, so Reverse Flash should not be here, correct? Because he was dead.
Correct.
So Reverse Flash shows up and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, Batman. Look, a little fucking button. And then Manhattan has to be like, you're not supposed to be here.
That was the connection he needed, maybe, to... Yeah, you might be right. What if Manhattan is simply trying to correct the New 52? But then again, what caused it? And maybe that's going to be the answer that we're going to get when they eventually reveal what the rest of the Watchmen universe will be. And I still don't think these 4 parts are going to be the definitive Watchmen story.
No,
we're going to get DC Metal, and then we'll probably get the Watchmen story right after that. But this is definitely the first, the seeds sprouting, if you will, the seeds that were planted with DC Rebirth #1, the special. And now we're seeing the investigations that Batman and the Flash are going to have to go through. And in this one, it's Batman versus Reverse Flash. And did you catch the symbolism when he spits blood on the Reverse Flash and it's blood on yellow? Like, it was obvious, but I'm like, that's kind of cool. I never would have thought that they'd do something like that. And Batman fucking stabbing motherfucker's leg down and pinning him down.
Through your foot with my batarang, bitch.
Batman was playing, defeated. It was all part of his plan. He knew Manhattan was gonna... He did that so that he can read the energy of Manhattan in the Batcave later. And
yeah, that's what it was.
It's not that he actually lost to Reverse Flash.
No, he didn't. He wouldn't have lost to Reverse Flash. He got... His suit was, like, reinforced and shit.
Yeah, it's Batman.
Like, he had a blood pouch in his, like, cheek, and he was, like bit it open so he could split the blood on him and make him seem like he was hurting him.
It was cool. It was a great issue. Love the back and forth with the hockey analogy. Love that with, fucking Reverse Flash got the story.
I want to know who's that random ass lady in the beginning. When are we going to learn about her?
She ties into, I think Legion of Superheroes, actually, is what she ties into.
Okay.
But yeah, she'll be a big part of this next story, and we'll definitely find that, because she mentions finding Miss Jupiter. Do you remember that at one point in Batman?
Oh, I think so.
Or Lady Jupiter, she calls
Something
her.
Like
yeah,
that.
So that's another tie-in to the Watchmen universe that we'll hopefully eventually find out about. And the button seemed to have reacted to Psycho Pirate's mask that we saw on like the 4th or 5th page of this issue. So yeah, it is awesome. I mean, if you do want to see what the Watchmen universe is about, and we had a shit ton of pre-orders for Batman #21, and as I mentioned before, it's sold out at every comic shop I was at except for one, and I got the last 3D copy of it.
So it did sell out at every shop you had.
Yes.
Because you bought the last one, therefore you sold it out.
Yeah. There you go. I personally had all the 3D copies were gone, not the 2D.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing. But, the 2D copies, they had like 4 or 5 left anyway. People are going to buy them just to read the story. Yeah, if you haven't gotten yours, definitely check it out. It's a good story. It's fun. There's action. There's a lot of questions, and they're probably going to be answered with the next issue of The Flash.
Awesome. So with that, we will wrap up our show for the week. That is all. I know you wish we would just talk forever. And we could. I could tell you about lots of things. The things I'm Pinteresting, my fan fictions, all the Vegeta Bulma things that I know now. I taught you more Vegeta Bulma things this week, too. I
did. You did. I learned a ton of Vegeta Bulma stuff. And it all makes more sense now that we're watching Dragon Ball Super.
I'm broadening your world. What would you do without me?
So again, a huge thanks to all of our listeners out there. Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, please. That definitely helps new Brokettes find the show and pushes us up a little bit higher on that games and hobbies chart.
And of course, hit us up on Twitter at TheReasonsImBroke, at Kelli. We love interacting with you guys. The reason we do this show is for all of you. So if there's anything you want to see, you want to hear more of, you want to see Dan run a half marathon in 2018.
Tote bags.
Wine and dine. Oh, yeah, tote bags. Wine and dine 2018. Hashtag Dan runs. Definitely let us know on Twitter. Again, at TheReasonsImBroke, at Kelli.
And another quick shout out to Art Baltazar if he's listening to our episode, because he's like, hey, I gotta check out your podcast, because he knows we have one, and he mentioned that at the show. So if you did, thank you, and here's a shout out.
And Dustin Wynn, thank you for knowing my name.
So huge thanks to all of you as well. Again, can't say that enough, listeners. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
We'll see you next week.